For so many years, I felt I had to prove myself. But this was not consciously, it was something going on inside of me and I wasn't aware of it. And I'm gonna share in this video what happened. So maybe if you can relate to this, you can see yourself in this, you can mirror yourself in this, and maybe it can help you. And from that, I'm also going to speak about two different kind of actions. The first one that got me into a $1.5 million debt, but also got me out of it. And then the second one, which is much lighter, much more easier. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong here. I'm just sharing from my truth. I got my notes in front of me on paper here, so I got my glasses on today. So first of all, who is this for? Well, probably if you can see yourself in what I'm sharing here, if you can mirror yourself, it's for you. If you can recognize yourself, it's for you. I've been an achiever all of my life. I've been hustling and grinding for many years. And when I say it like that, my adult life, I started working in a restaurant chain, and within 6 months, in a very young age, I became the store manager of the store that I was in. And the thing is, maybe you can recognize yourself here. There was a goal, and I could see there's something here, and I just went for it. And what also happened was, because I was young, because I was unexperienced, I kind of like jumped in the deep water, and I had to learn to swim when I was in the water. No really practice, no really training. And there was a lot of tough things that I experienced. And I'm a very sensual, sensible, open to source guy. I wasn't for many years because I locked myself in. I protected myself behind thick walls of different masks that I wore. I wasn't aware of it at the time, but I became later. So I was in this job for 8 years, and I grew into, it was a chain, into bigger stores, much more responsibilities. And with practice, with the repetitions, I learned. But it was the same thing in the gym. When I set a goal, I worked for it. When I set a goal in the next business I was in, I worked for it. When I set a goal that I wanted to own a lot of properties in the area that I was in, I worked for it. And I succeeded with the things, with hustle and grind, and it felt often like it was very tough. Like I had this big back package, what do you call that, back package? And it was very heavy, so I was running uphill with this one on, so it was kind of dragging me down, and I had to push even harder. And I wrote 4 books, marathon, just to prove that I could. And when I say proof, I thought it was to myself, but it became a lot deeper than that on my latest chapter in my journey here. So some people would call it an achiever, some people would call it an overachiever, some people call it just a doer, a person who's doing the things. Tell me what to do, I'm doing it. Do you know a person like that? And I said there's 2 different ways of action here, because that period of my life when I was hustling, grinding and pushing and just giving all that I had inside of me, I succeeded with owning all the properties, but then came financial crisis and I ended up with a $1.5 million debt. With the same energy, I succeeded paying off the $1.5 million debt to solve it. I succeeded in creating a company with 60 people that was my own company. It was with pushing, with hustling, grinding, with the mindset that many of us watches other people speak about. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. Nothing is right or wrong here. It's we are where we are. And it worked for me for many years. because I did achieve all of those things. Now, that kind of energy has been very good for many things, because if I hadn't had that energy in that period of my life, I wouldn't have succeeded with those things. And I wouldn't have pushed through the things that they became walls in my reality. And again, if you resonate, if you can see yourself in what I'm saying, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a business owner, maybe you're a manager, maybe you are a hustler, a grinder, an overachiever, someone who is doing all the things. But here comes the thing, who still feels that something is off. Then this is for you, because that's how I felt for so many years. I achieved those things and I got some kind of recognition for it, and I was still feeling something was not right. Even when I paid off the debt, when I solved the debt, when I got kind of a big amount of money in my account, I was still feeling like something wasn't right. I wasn't safe. I was afraid that I would lose the money. I was afraid that I couldn't handle it. I was afraid that it would destroy my spiritual being. I was afraid of these things. And again, that's one kind of energy. And when I got my second crisis here, there was a relationship and I was really into it for 6 years, and only to find out after 6 years of manipulation, of cheating, of lying, of so many bad things, and I just got deeper and deeper into a big black dark hole with this partner, and my life energy was just sucked out of me. It was kind of like there were small holes all over, so whatever I did, the life energy was just draining out of me. And I know this is something that other people experience, but I also know that it's not everyone who has experienced this. And I do know that how much I try to explain how it is to be in a relationship with like this, only people who have experienced it understands it, because it's, like I say, it's draining of life force. So, but that was the thing that helped me to crack all of this achieving Michael, masks of performing perfect, masks of being this doer who could take on the world, being this doer with the world on his shoulder, Michael. All of that was destroyed after that relationship. So it helped me to find Michael, more authentic Michael, to find a Michael who didn't run with that back package on all the time, which shifted me into the next energy. But before that, what I did learn in that period, when I began to look inside instead of try to create from the outside, because that's the big shift. Before, I drew something on the vision board, I set a goal, I helped entrepreneurs do the same thing, and I just hustle and grinded, and I help those people hustle and grind to achieve their goals. And again, there's nothing right or wrong here. And a lot of the people that I've helped, they achieved some amazing goals. But I do believe today that many of those also had this energy inside of them that something is missing, something is wrong, something is off. I have this heavy energy. And when I began to look inside, I began to understand. I could look back on my timeline and I could see this little guy who in a very young age really tried his best to succeed, to prove. And some examples could be that I was playing badminton in the local badminton club for 6 or 9 years, I don't remember. But I was the best because I was hustling and grinding and I kept doing the repetitions. And I remember how much it meant to me that I had to win. And I also remember that when I was in final, which I was every year in the tournaments, I was so obsessed with winning that the few times that I didn't win, there was an outburst of energy of, I don't even know what that was, but I know that I just biked my doors and I went to the dressing room for the boys, and I just cried in there. I just sat myself and cried because I was lost. This is not healthy. And there was many things like that too. If I was in a competition of anything, I would go to be number one. And if I didn't win, I would go into panic mode and I would feel so wrong and I would feel so off and I would be so sad and crying and really desperate. And that's not good. And what I understood later on was that for me, all of this was taking on the responsibility on my shoulders. For me, I had an alcoholic dad, which took me so many years to realize and accept, and also accept that it wasn't my fault. Because that's the thing that happened for me for all of those years. It was actually that this little boy got programmed in. There was sweet dad, there was not sweet dad. And I, as a little guy, this little guy Michael, I thought that by winning I could get his approval and I could keep him the sweet dad. This is heavy stuff. I thought by being the best it would help, and this was not like thinking here. There was my being that was programmed like that in the subconscious. It was a core belief that was installed in a very young age, that by being the best, by being one who pushed to the limit, I could make my dad stay sober, the sweet, calm, nice guy. Deep stuff. So there was one kind of action. This is my story. It's not certain that your story is the same, but as I said in the beginning, maybe you can recognize something from here. So the next phase, and let me take this off, and the next or different kind of energy, action. Like I said, forced action, push, 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 achieve, be number one, boom, boom. But with that heavy energy inside, and that's the thing that has shifted so much for me. Now, the second action, the second way of life experience, of action, is not doing nothing. It's not about manifesting your dream life from doing nothing. But for me, the word that I do love so much is what's unfolding. And this is not about not taking responsibility. It's not about not doing the thing. This is more about what shows up and what do I follow. And there's a big thing here, because that kind of action here, for me, the word with this kind of action is inspired action, or action with more flow, or action with more ease, or action that feels much lighter and much more easy to do. Because the heavy energies that I had before has been transformed or released or shifted. So the difference here for me is that, and it's not something that just shifted from one day. So this is probably for you who might be very tired of the old way. And you see, okay, this way is not serving me anymore. So it wasn't an overnight thing, even though some of the things happened pretty fast, but it was more like when it showed up, and this is about inner awareness. That's why I created the 7-day manifestation reset challenge. It's about inner awareness, because when things showed up inside, things that I didn't know or recognize that I actually knew for so many years, because the same kind of energy that this little boy experienced in a very young age, where he tried to prove to his father that he was good enough, and he tried to take the world on his shoulders to make and do anything possible to keep his father sober. That kind of energy was in there like a core belief. And when getting older with that energy still in there, it means that that's the program, that's the thing that this guy, even when he was in his 20s, when he had his first store manager job, he would do anything to make sure that his restaurant would win, that the things that he set himself up to would win, so he could get the recognition, so he could prove himself. He had the world on his shoulders because he learned in a very young age that if he really did good, or he hoped that then his father would be sober. That's one reason. Now, today, after shifting, after releasing, after transforming those energies, and it's not that there's not bad energy showing up, or energy that feels heavy showing up, because that can still happen. But now I know how it is, how it feels, and how to be with it. And that's the human experience as I see it. This is the work that for those of us who are on this path and want to create, manifest a reality that we desire or are called for, I do believe today that this is the work that we have to do, because the hustle and grinding with that heavy energy inside will only lead to some kind of result in our reality that we are not happy with. I've seen it for 45 years of my life. And the second energy, when we are much more light inside, when we are much more aware what's going on inside, there's some kind of call showing up. I've felt that. That's why I've created this channel to share my story and to inspire with it. It's why I created the manifestation community to share, not like the woo-woo manifestation, sit down and everything will be perfect, but doing this work from the inside out, so you can create from the inside out. And there's a link below the video to the community and the challenge if you want to check it out. So the next energy, the next action here, the second one is, when I say inspired, for me, it's about something is showing up, or something that I feel called to do. I feel like I want to do it. And now it's not about pushing. It's more about, I'm actually feeling that I'm getting, it's a magnet that I'm being attracted towards this thing. This doesn't mean that there will not be friction on the way. This doesn't mean that I don't have to do the videos. It doesn't mean that I don't have to take calls with people. But it's not the energy of pushing. It's not the energy of forced. It's not the heavy energies. It's more like, this is what I'm called for. This is just happening. So I'm taking the steps. Even in the gym, I'm going to the gym. I did 20 years ago, I also went to the gym, but 20 years ago, it was with that force mentality, it was with that heavy energy inside, it was that proof mentality. And today, I still go there and I push myself in the gym. Yesterday I was there and I'm on a plan what I do, and I gave myself all in yesterday, and I was so tired after. My body was so tired. And it is today too, but I understand why, and I'm just following what showed up. This is my inner truth. I am connected with that inner truth, and I'm taking the actions with that. So friction can be there, and it can still be, I can feel tired, but it's very different from heaviness inside. Does this make sense? I hope it does. So, I just wanted to share those two different actions, and as I said in the beginning, I had to prove myself most of my life. And I saw it somehow, but I was not like really aware what's going on before I had my second awakening, if you want to call it like that. So I hope this helped, and One, you're more than welcome to share in the story, in the comments, what comes up for you here. Do you recognize yourself in this? And this is human beings connecting. We are human beings, but we are also in a world where, as I see it, where there's so much going on, so much noise, so much drama also, and also so much proof. And nothing right or wrong again. Maybe there's just something inside of you that has this urge that things can be different. So feel free to put it in the comments. And just very quick, but I created this 7-day manifestation challenge in our community because what I've learned myself is that the only way to really feel the difference and create from the inside out with that difference was to actually go inside and become aware what's going on. Become aware what's going on when I sit still, what's going on when I'm with people, what's going on when I take action, even action on things that I would push through before or I would be scared of doing. How is it inside when I take this action today, when I'm with myself? And for me, that was the first step. That's why I created the 7-day manifestation reset. Because when we begin to understand and learn and become aware, from there we can create. So if you want to, if you're like, okay, let me check that out. And this is not, everything is not solved in 7 days. It's not about that. It's becoming, learning the practices, begin to understand it. And as I wrote in our community the other day, this is not 7 days. Like you go to the gym for 7 days, you learn how to do the biceps, you learn how to do the bench press. Now you know, and then you stop going to the gym. No. These 7 days, like in the gym, well, you have a training period, but after that, that's where the work begins. You'll have to keep doing the bench press. You'll have to keep doing the bicep things. The first 7 days was just to understand it. Now you have to do it. And that's an invitation for people in the community and also for you watching this on YouTube to not just do this for 1 day and then, or 7 days, and then think everything is over. This is the beginning of it. So if you want to check out the 7 days, it's not strategies, it's not pushing, it's not working, it's you with you. And then sharing it with me. If you want to check it out, then the link is below. And both the community and the 7 days challenge is for free, like zero thing. And again, mostly would be for entrepreneurs, for people who understand and can relate to what I'm sharing here. So, and you're more than welcome. Thanks for being here.